Hello, dear friends. Hello. We have a new broadcast today. Every year we start our work on the release of video programs, and they always start with an interesting topic devoted to human development. Now this term is quite common. Many people are engaged in different kinds of development of themselves, both physically and in their inner state. There is an understanding of what spiritual development is. Today, quite a few people understand what is really spiritual development. Very many people confuse it with religious directions. Natalia Vladimirovna, tell us a few words. What is spiritual development in modern society in our difficult times? In a word, it is the ability to develop oneself, the ability and opportunity to discover one's own energy, one's own nature, everything that is inherent by the higher mind inside the human consciousness, human soul, and human mental activity. In short, this is self-development and self-improvement. Why spiritual development? What does spiritual mean? Translated into modern language, this is energy development. And probably this expression will be more relevant in the future era, in the new era of life, because spirituality, let's say, has already been seriously changed not for the better. Many religions just trade this word, and many people do not even understand what this word means and compare it precisely with religiosity, as you say very correctly, Sergei Arkadyevich. Natalia Vladimirovna, please explain what kind of energies we are talking about and what kind of energy development. A human being is very multifaceted, so inside every person there are a lot of components of human nature. These many facets are developed in the process of spiritual energy development. With using what? With the help of knowledge that creates the necessary vibrations. Vibrations create the necessary processes inside even the cells of the body and interact with subtle bodies, with the subtle energy informational components of a person. Because a human being is not only a body, it is what fills this physical body, it is what animates this body, gives life to this physical organism. And many have seen dead people, the state when that energy that was in a person left the body, and then the body becomes dead. So, a human being is energy, and when you develop yourself, you just develop your own energies in yourself, each of which has its own vibration, its own frequency, frequencies of possibilities, opens the necessary states already inherent inside the human consciousness, and the person grows, evolves, the life of such a person improves, stabilizes, and the world becomes more beautiful. That is, these are the energies that are original, on the basis of which is then built and actually the person. And in order to develop the energies that we are talking about, there is not much official science knows about them right now. I guess some special techniques are needed, because it's not gonna help with any weights or just reading some book. Yes, of course, there are sacred mechanisms. Why is it sacral? Space exists due to sacred mechanisms. Life itself exists because there are sacred mechanisms. There is this science, the sacral geometry, which carries a species-specific crystal lattice, which in turn unifies the atomic molecular structure of particles, creating the reality of the dense state of the world that we see around us. So all these processes, we can say this, all energies move and interact and work with sacred mechanisms, sacred symbols, which are the basis of cosmic life. And for development, self-development and self-knowledge, it is necessary to master these highly interesting methods and opportunities. But this is not enough. In order to work with these sacred symbols, you need to be a special person. You need to comply with this knowledge. You need to have an inner core, an inner desire, and of course the inner state of purity, including physical purity. Tell me, Natalia Vladimirovna, There are a lot of different directions and schools. Just in India, it's probably very difficult to count how many different gurus are. All of them teach development. Why is it that with so much diversity, real work with its subtle energy bodies is rare? Why are there no real masters? Why are there so many people who do such things, but there are no true masters who will help people to develop these energies in themselves? There are actually a lot of answers, and one answer is that many such directions and teachers are stuck in the past. They are stuck on those Vedic and Bauchic or some other directions that people needed at that time, those centuries, and that state of life. Now everything has changed. Evolution does not make you wait, it is rapidly developing and moving forward. But the knowledge and methodologies remain old, and many teachers probably need to undergo retraining and further training. The mistake of many teachers is that they consider themselves perfect. But it is impossible, my friends, to become perfect here on this planet. Only by reaching the level of paradise does the being become perfect. Well, few people know about paradise, so we can say lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge is the main reason. And what people know, or what masters teach many people, is really only rough knowledge. But there are deeper levels of knowledge, knowing which a person immediately has the desired result of development. The development of these energies is undoubtedly very important for people, and a person who, shall we say, is not mentally ill, having heard this information, should simply run and develop himself to be stable and strong, especially in these difficult times. But there is just another situation, that people do not strive for this development, and often, after going to some schools, drop it and consider it all nonsense. Why is this happening now? Again, there are many answers to this question. One person maybe in a wrong school got, so he had an internal inquiry and he started looking, but he found some initial stages, the first steps of his development. And when he does not see the results, he thinks it's all nonsense, and that's where he stopped. The other person who can even live with him in one house sees this example and does not believe it either. Many of my students tell me that their relatives often do not support them in their process of self-development and empowerment. Why? There is an explanation for that too. Well, first of all, friends, you need to understand that a lot of people right now are the souls that came out of purgatory into this life. In purgatory, they came into the past life for certain reasons, for their undeveloped state. Why? Because most people were who? For example, consider the Middle Ages. Most people lived hard lives, lives of slaves, lives of survival, where they actually had to survive through various difficulties, the troubles of the time, those governments, leaders, kings, and so on. So most people have lived in very difficult circumstances. How many people did the Inquisition destroy? How many people did it destroy before they could develop? If they had not been killed, then in this life, they, having been born, would have exactly searched for this knowledge, and surely they would have found it. But we did not see it with you. So this is one of the reasons. The reason is that many people are underdeveloped, mentally underdeveloped, intellectually, and underdeveloped in experience. Many people are attached to matter. Why? Why are there people who appreciate the material very much, and there are people who do not value it at all? They value completely different aspects of life. In their inner state, what they are, how they see life, how they know how to understand life, how they know how to control themselves and their psyche. A developed person would appreciate it. If a person has not developed, has not acquired certain experience, a secular, material experience. If he has not acquired such experience, you can tell him 24 hours a day about spiritual development, self-development, about the necessity of this development, but it will be in vain. And now there is a very serious process of selecting people for a future new life. So many people die en masse, and only development can save a lot of people. But not many are ready for this development. Why do they lack? Experience. But again, we can only gain experience through our work. But many people are so lazy that even when they realize that they need experience in order to develop, many even realize this, but when they begin to think that something needs to be done, they disagree. They disagree only because of their laziness, animal instinct. And that means that they could not overcome their animal instinct in themselves. How do people overcome animal instinct? Through suffering, my friends. Only through suffering. That is why now we have so much suffering in our world. Many people suffer because they need this experience of suffering. Natalia Vladimirovna, please tell us, this knowledge, are they really not for everyone? They were hunted throughout the century. More recently, the same Hitler created the UNENORB organization, through which he tried to find these forces, these opportunities that are not open to ordinary people. He put a lot of effort into it. And now people who seemingly agree, yes, I'm going to evolve, are they destined for success? Or is it that, like Hitler, not everyone gets to take full advantage of this knowledge? And what, shall we say, are the criteria for a person to know this knowledge? Yes, of course, it's not for everyone. This knowledge is great, and indeed, this knowledge is haunted, and the knowledge that I give is also haunted, and I know it. Some people make every effort to get into our courses, but still they do not succeed in order to learn this knowledge. Why? The techniques are very strong and productive, which instantly change reality. But in order for these techniques to bring an excellent creative result, a person needs to correspond to the strengths that he is endowed with in the process of working with me. Yes, he acquires great power, the power that gives certain opportunities to live on, create the world, create beauty in this world, and resist evil, hatred, aggression, and destruction that we see around us. This is all given by these mechanisms, and many people want to learn these sacred mechanisms and get into our courses, but they fail. Like Hitler once planned to conquer the whole world, but what happened to him we all have known. Therefore, friends, knowledge is for those who have chosen the path of evolution, development and self-improvement. And this, in turn, includes a life where you live not so much for yourself as for the world. You live for the world, you live taking care of the world, and you live so that the world will remember you with good words and be happy that you lived on this planet. You are a virtue, you are merciful, you are wise, you are understanding, you are a wonderful psychic, and you see people's thoughts, you see their feelings, their souls, and you do not direct your vision to aggression and hatred, but on the contrary, you try to find the best solution in difficult situations. This is what I teach my students, and they are special people. I call them people of the future, and indeed, the future belongs to them. The future belongs to goodness, friends. Evil destroys itself. It programmed itself for destruction. Realizing this, we are doing everything to make the world a better place, and so that our disciples lead a new life on this difficult planet. A lot of people say, well, why should I do what you tell? I do help people anyway. I don't do bad things, I don't break glass, and I don't harm anyone, so everything should be fine with me. How important is this path of a new person? Precisely in the development, in cognition of this knowledge. Or can we just live life as a harmless, kind people? What is the difference? How should people be explained whether this development is necessary? You know, it can't be explained to everyone. There are people who are so undeveloped, so enslaved and closed in their undeveloped state that it is impossible to explain it to them, no matter how hard you try. What do they lack? Experience, suffering, a certain mental activity, a certain level of intelligence. And all this is discovered and developed only thanks to experience and those genetic programs that are built into human genetics. And then, being born with these programs, a set of these programs, a person moves on in life. That is, he has his own, let's say, such a genetic preparation that advances him through life. So there are people who do not have certain genetic programs that push them to self-development. They simply do not have. Therefore, you tell them about it, you explain to them development, self-development, that this is just the air of life, especially at this time, is generally the ability to be or not to be. Will you live or will you never be alive again? But many people cannot understand this. They cannot agree with it. They think that this life will always be, so this is nonsense, you don't have to believe in it, and who has seen, who knows, and who has seen God, tell me, why are you so sure? That is, they have a lot of excuses, and all these excuses are imposed on them by the so-called matrix program. The matrix program is a system that controls the mental activity of almost all people. Only spiritually, energetically developed people can escape from these programs, from under this influence and impact. We see this influence and impact everywhere, in the media, in social life, absolutely everywhere. When you go to the store, you see it, go to the post office, go to the bank, these programs are everywhere, and they exert their influence and pressure on the psyche of many people, on their social life, social behavior. And this, in turn, creates problems for such people. And they just need problems. Through problems, they develop new programs and new vision, and people develop, and we see it with you. And there are people who don't need this suffering anymore. They say, no, 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 we already know what suffering is, we want to live well. And they begin to discover themselves, to discover within themselves what was in their possession long ago, and they sometimes even noticed it a little bit. These people, engaged in their self-development, read books and try to understand life in a new way. For them, it is thirst. They do not need to be forced. They want to do it. They are interested in it. They have an interest. It also shows that they have been socially successful, genetically equipped, and prepared for development in their lives. But most people, as I told you, came into this life from purgatory, and these are former slaves who have lived more than one slave life, or life in poverty, life in underdevelopment. What kind of people have they come here now? The same. Their thinking, their feelings, their aspirations, desires, and their worldview remained as dark, undeveloped, suppressed, limited, in torment and suffering, in a certain selfishness, as in the past. And they, having these programs, adapt their life to these programs, and they see the life through their own internal programs. Why many psychologists and psychiatrists say that everyone sees life in their own way, which means they see life through their own programs. Social life plays a significant role in this, and the parents who gave them life. And so we see with you, friends, that yes, now development is probably the most important task of every living person, because it determines the future destiny of a person. Will he evolve on this planet or will not? Or be born in 12,000 years or will not at all, and there will be no such person. Now, such a time has come. And what we are going to see in this time, we are going to see a very big change, and even more, a shock to humanity. People will endure many upheavals and destruction, certain processes of troubles and hardship. Therefore, my friends, it will be clear to many people that on this planet only those who are now engaged in developing themselves will be able to live and prosper, because this development will give a new life, a new world, a new state of being. Well, our broadcast is over, my friends. I wish everyone a good day, success, good luck, prosperity, understanding, correct understanding of life, and of course, aspiration to self-development, self-improvement, and self-realization. Good luck to you.